self-trust isn't a vibe. Self-trust isn't a bath bomb. It's a neurological muscle. This is what I mean. You cannot logic your way into authority. You have to practice it into existence. Now, let's get one thing straight right up front. Self-trust isn't about self-love. They're not the same. Self-trust is not a vibe. It's not a bath bomb. It's not lighting a candle and hoping that your anxiety goes away. Poof. Self-trust is a neurocognitive skill. It's a skill that you can learn. And that's what we're rebuilding today. If you have ever paused before saying what you actually think, if you've ever asked 3 different people for a take on something that you already know that you know, if you've ever walked away from a moment thinking, I knew better, why didn't I just say it? Then you're not struggling with confidence. You're struggling with mental authority. That internal, I got me feeling, the one where you're supposed to have your own back, not beat yourself up. The one where who else are you going to trust if you can't trust yourself? This is not a personality trait. It's not natural for most people, especially high-achieving people, especially high-achieving women. This is not some airy, fairy dust trust fall with the universe. It's a decision-making pattern, reinforced or weakened every single time that you hesitate, that you silence yourself, that you accommodate, or you abandon your own knowing of what you know. That's why I am not here today to tell you to believe in yourself. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. I'm here to show you how to train your brain to stop gaslighting you. So if you've ever wondered why you second guess yourself so much, why you're not trusting your gut, why you just can't trust yourself to know what is best for you, then this, my friend, is the episode you need. Let's go.
I'm Dr. Charlie Hornis, ex-highly anxious people pleaser turned master certified professional life coach. Learning to manage my brain was so life-changing for me that I got certified so that I could teach these incredible evidence-based practices to you. Are you ready for massive change? Let's go.
Now, before we dive in, this episode is sponsored by Betterhelp. That's Betterhelp, HELP.com. Because sometimes self-trust doesn't just break down in your thoughts. It breaks down in your nervous system, in your patterns, in how you show up or shut down when things get hard. That's where professional support can make the difference between staying stuck and finally moving forward. BetterHelp offers licensed, affordable online therapy that can help you untangle the noise, regulate your emotions, and start building trust in yourself, one session at a time. I'll tell you more about it later in the episode, but if you are already ready to take some action, you can head over to betterhelp.com/art of. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/art of, ARTOF, and get 10% off your first month using my affiliate link. All right, let's get back into it. Let me blow up a myth right now. You weren't born without self-trust. You were trained over time to override it. And if you've internalized doubt so deeply that you can't even tell whether your hesitation is fear or intuition, or if it's just, good strategy, it's not because you're broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's because your brain has been conditioned to prioritize external safety over internal certainty. Here's the neuroscience. Your brain is a prediction machine, and it doesn't just rely on what you think, it tracks what you do. Every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, your brain logs that as safe. Every time you ask for input before trusting your own gut, your brain adds that to the database. Consensus is safety. Every time you delay a decision out of fear of being wrong, for fear of being judged, who's not afraid of being judged by everybody, or being called too much. Your brain stores that avoidance as evidence that you cannot be trusted on your own. That's not a character flaw, though. That's a neurobiological adaptation. And if you were raised in a system, family, school, religion, culture where questioning yourself was rewarded and trusting yourself was punished, then of course your default programming is to pause, to pull, to perform, to pretend. Self-trust wasn't taken from you. It was conditioned out of you. You were rewarded for being easy, agreeable, and nice. One of my favorite dirty words, nice. Yeah, it's a 4-letter word. You were awarded for being nice, not for being decisive, not for being grounded, not for being bold, not for taking up the space that belongs to you. And this is the part nobody says out loud. The more competent you are, the more this conditioning tends to stick. Because when you're smart and strategic and successful on the outside, people assume you must already trust yourself. But inside, you're running a high-functioning mental algorithm that says, don't speak too soon, don't speak too much, everybody's judging you, make sure everybody's okay first, you must be wrong, obviously. This is not a lack of confidence. That's over-functioning in a system that trained you to fear your own voice. And my friend, this stops now. Because once you understand that self-trust is a trainable cognitive pathway, not a personality trait, not something you were lucky enough to be or not be born with, you unlock something that changes everything. You stop chasing certainty and you start building evidence. Let's get a little bit more neuroscience-y, like I love to do, totally nerd out. Let's do that for a second. Your brain, it doesn't trust what you say. It trusts what you do. You can write all the affirmations you want all day long. You can journal your way to clarity. You can tell yourself, I've got this on repeat. But if you delay a decision, if you pull the room, if you stall, if you edit, if you accommodate, if you overthink, if you apologize for taking up the space that belongs to you, if you apologize for just breathing, your brain is watching and it's logging every single one of those moments as data. And it has been logging every single one of those moments your entire life as data, because this is what's happening. Your nervous system is not interested in your intentions. It's interested in your patterns. And those patterns get stored. And they don't get stored as facts. They get stored as what's called predictive cues. Let me explain that. So the human brain is a predictive machine. It is fierce. Its job is to minimize uncertainty and keep you alive, which means every time you intend to speak, but you don't, every time you intend to decide, but you over-research instead, well, I'm guilty of that one, you create what's called a prediction error. There's a gap then between what you say you're going to do and what you actually do. And your brain closes that gap by creating a shortcut. It says, I guess we don't really trust ourselves to follow through. Boom, new internal schema. And that becomes your default setting. Yes. So when I say self-trust isn't a vibe, self-trust isn't a bath bomb, it's a neurological muscle. This is what I mean. You cannot logic your way into authority. You have to practice it into existence. How? Well, micro decisions, pattern action, thought work with receipts. This is the part where most people try to change their mindset without understanding the mechanics involved. They don't look under the hood. They just go kicking tires and then, drive off, and then it breaks down on the side of the road. And then they're like, what happened? Like, super surprised. They try to insert a new belief, right? The belief, I've got this, without retraining the evidence loop that tells their brain that it's safe to actually believe that I've got this. That's why self-trust doesn't click from reading a quote or having some, weekend trust fall breakthrough. It's fleeting. It doesn't last. It clicks when your actions match your intention often enough for your brain to update the forecast, to update outdated software. Let me give you the tools that makes this possible. It's what I call, if you're a regular listener to my episodes, this is what I call the aerial view. See, the aerial view is a mindset strategy, but more than that, it's a practice every minute, every time you need it. This is how we zoom out away from fear, out of the noise, out of the shame spiral. This is how you see your thoughts like an observer, right? You're not a critic. You're not a rescuer. You're not an overcorrector. You're not a judgmental person beating the crap out of yourself, telling yourself all day long what's wrong with you. You're just a neutral witness to the engine that's running the show. You look under the hood and you watch it work. It's the moment that you pause and you ask, wait, what's actually happening here? Not what's wrong with me? Not why am I always doing this? Why can't I get this right? No. What thought just triggered the hesitation? What story are you telling yourself that's running on autopilot right now when you had that thought or feel? Because once you see the engine, you stop reacting to all the smoke. You stop worrying about being, broken down on the side of the road because you know how to fix it. And that's the starting point for every single trust rebuild that I teach. It's not hype. It's not hope. It's not wishful thinking. It's not willpower, pattern recognition, cognitive leverage, behavioral proof. That's how we stop thinking our way into trust and start training it instead. Now, if you have ever studied or listened to my coach, Brooke Castillo, and yes, I'm certified in her method, you've heard of the self-coaching model. It's the most powerful mental sorting tool that I have ever learned, that I have ever used. And it is something that I try to teach as often as possible. And today, I want to teach it to you through the lens of self-trust. So we're going to talk about the CTFAR, circumstance, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So let's walk through this if you're not familiar, because this right here is how we find the exact thought that's keeping you trapped in this nonsense loop of insanity. All right, C is for circumstance. This is just the data, the fact. Something happened. You got an email. You were asked a question. Somebody made a face. Somebody said something that, got your hackles up or whatever. A meeting was scheduled. A meeting was canceled. Nothing dramatic, just observable, provable reality. T is for thought. This is where your brain jumps in with a meaning. This must be bad. I'm not ready for this. They're going to judge me. What if I mess it up? This is scary. And here's where it gets important. Your brain thinks it's being rational. Therefore, you think you're being rational. And what it's really doing, what your brain is doing, is running your old safety scripts. These are the inherited narratives from every system that taught you to question yourself. What are those? Be nice. Don't take up space. You're only valuable if you're right. Confidence is arrogant. Don't be too much. F is for feeling. Once you think the thought, your nervous system reacts physically, literally. Anxiety, guilt, shame. It might not feel loud, but it's there. A tightening, a pause, a contraction. This is your body signaling unsafe to act. A is for action. Now, you react. You over-research. You soften your email. You say yes when you meant maybe or definitely no. You edit your voice until you're palatable. R is for result. And what happens? You don't lead. You don't speak up. You don't own the moment. Your brain stores that result as confirmation. See, we were right not to trust ourselves. You see, that's a loop. And it's never ending. And unless you stop it, you interrupt it, it becomes your default operating system. So here's the reframe I need you to get. Your lack of self-trust, it's not proof that you're failing. It's not. It's proof your programming is still running, that default model you keep living inside of. It's not who you are. It's who you've been trained to be. And once you learn how to see the model in real time, once you watch it happening, then you can jump up into that aerial view. You can get that 30,000 foot perspective and see it working when it's working. Once you identify the thoughts, feelings, actions, and results based on a circumstance that you've interpreted. So using the model is what catapults you up into the plane with me and up above the system, and to start observing it in real time, not judging it, not making calls, not beating yourself up, just observing, watching. You don't just think positively, okay? That's going to get you nowhere. You don't just get willpower. You stop treating the thought you're having like truth. You don't have to believe everything your brain offers you. You start treating this like a hypothesis that you get to challenge. That's what thoughts are. Hypotheses your brain offers you that you can give back and say, no, thank you. That's how you begin to build self-trust from the inside out. So it's possible to practice this stuff and, be a DIYer, kind of do it yourself. I know a lot of people that think that they can do that, but when it comes to your mental health, it's not a good idea. And one of the fastest ways to really make some impact on work like rebuilding your own trust in yourself is reaching out and getting some help. People that know how to walk you through this kind of work. That's why this show is sponsored by Betterhelp today. That's Betterhelp, HELP.com. You know the feeling you get at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep because your brain just will not shut up. It's ruminating. You're replaying that thing that you said in the meeting. You worry they misunderstood your tone. You wonder if you're doing enough. Are you being enough? Are you holding it all together enough? On the outside, you're the one everyone counts on. But on the inside, you're exhausted. You're stuck in that old pattern and loop of self-doubt, people-pleasing, accommodating, and decision fatigue. And you've been trying to fix this yourself for years. Here's the truth. You were never meant to carry all of this alone. That's why therapy can help. Therapy doesn't mean something's broken. It means that you're ready for something better. You're ready. It's not about unraveling your life. It's about learning how to live without the internal battles. BetterHelp makes that easier. And you'll be matched with a licensed therapist who fits your needs on your schedule without the overhead of traditional therapy. No driving, no scheduled Tetris with the family, just support that works. With over 30,000 therapists and 5 million people served globally, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. So if your brain won't let you rest, maybe it's time to stop doing this alone. So visit betterhelp.com/art of, and you are going to get 10% off your first month with my affiliate link. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/art of, ARTOF, because your thoughts are not facts, but your well-being and your mental health, that's real. It's worth it. Now we're going to get into what is called self-abandonment and how to rewire that one. If you're interested in learning more about this, inside my upcoming masterclass, I teach a full 3-module method that I call the Trust Protocol, another signature framework that is based in my doctorate research. And this is for rebuilding real self-trust from the inside out. And that will be launching soon. I have a masterclass for every one of my episodes. And if you aren't on my email list yet, that's where I send all of my information out. You can grab that list at charliehornetscoaching.com/subscribe. And when you're on my email list, you're going to get all kinds of offers and, special notices and subscriber stuff. So get on there and then you'll find out when my masterclass is coming out. But this right here, right now, I'm going to give you the starter kit, the 4-step version that rewires your brain's response to pressure, performance, and perfectionism. So here's some stuff you can use right now while you wait on that class to come out. This is what I call the Trust Protocol, a mini version. So step 1, observe, the thought loop. Pause. Interrupt the autoplay once you see it. You have to see it, right? Then you zoom out. You ask, what thought just caused that blank, hesitation or doubt? You're not looking for a feeling. Okay. Feelings are vibrations in your body. They're not thoughts. They're not words. They're things that you feel in your body. Very different. You're hunting for the sentence, the exact words that just ran through your mind, right? Not, I feel like I wish I could. No. What was the thought? Wow, that sucks. I'm not going to be good at that or whatever. This is what I call using the aerial view. This is a blend of cognitive behavioral therapy, systems thinking, and mindfulness. It's the ability to witness your own cognition without fusing with it. You have to separate out from it. Because once you name the thought, and you can find the thought by using Brooke Castillo's The Model, which is another thing that I teach. When you find the thought using the model, you defang it. It stops running the show from behind the curtain. See, in neuroscience, this is called metacognition, the ability to observe your thinking in real time. And in theology, it's what the mystics call witness consciousness. Systems theory, it's what we call exiting the feedback loop. It's the same thing in all kinds of different principles. And it's not new. This has been taught forever. The brain can't rewire what it can't see. And if you believe everything your brain offers you as truth, then you are not observing it in order to rewire it because you're not seeing it for what it is. So this is the first move. See it without shame. Your second step, you're going to name the default script. Ask yourself, whose rule am I following? Who taught me this? Why do I even know this? Why am I even thinking this? This is where we call out the unspoken contracts of our life. Those inherited directives you've absorbed throughout your entire life story. Your family, your religion, your workplace, your culture, your gendered socialization. Things like, don't be too much. Nice girls wait their turn. Be humble, not proud. Strong women intimidate people. Better to be quiet than be wrong. Yeah, these scripts, these are not your voice. They're internalized authority structures, conditioned over time, reinforced by systems that benefited from your silence. See, it's entirely counterintuitive. The systems that have reinforced this within you, that convince you to think and act and do and be this way, also benefit when you do that. We're not just replacing a thought here. We're dismantling a legacy. And sometimes they're hard to let go of. Sometimes we grieve them. Sometimes they're comfortable, but we've got to dismantle these legacies. Step 3, replace it with a power thought. This is where we rewire. This is where we change those neural pathways into something different. And it sticks. This is how it sticks because you're literally rewiring your brain. You're not chanting affirmations that you don't believe. You're not convincing yourself of bullshit that as you say it and do it, you're like, oh, this will work this time. No, you're not doing that. But choosing a thought instead that's grounded in action, even if it feels a little bit scary. Here's some examples. I make strong decisions even when I feel fear. Have you done that before? Have you made decisions even when you were afraid one time in your life? Proof, evidence. That's what your brain needs. Find it. Where has that happened before? Where have you made a decision even in the face of fear? I know you've done it. Okay. Not feeling ready doesn't mean I'm not ready. Maybe you are ready. Look at the times when you weren't ready and you handled it. I can tolerate the discomfort of being seen. Yeah. You have to raise your threshold of discomfort. You have to up your tolerance. This is something I probably say every episode. because we cannot run from discomfort. We have to get used to discomfort. That's how we do hard things, right? Uncertainty doesn't mean danger. It means growth. Again, so many of these things are counterintuitive. What we think is danger often is actually growth, but your brain is convincing you otherwise. Stop accepting what your brain is offering you. You don't have to. It's not real. This is where you start shifting your self-concept, one thought at a time. And from a neuroscience perspective, this is activating that neuroplasticity that is building new associative pathways between thought and identity. From a behavioral lens, this is preloading the cue so that your nervous system isn't left scrambling. And your fourth step, act while unready. You see, this is a muscle. Say the thing, send the email, set the boundary, interrupt the over-explainer. Post it before you edit the life out of it. Even if you screw it up, you need to build up your level of discomfort. What's the fastest way to do that? Screw stuff up. I'm not kidding. Welcome it. Because you don't build trust by waiting to feel certain. You're never going to feel certain. Not 100%. There's never not going to be a moment of doubt. We don't have perfect thinking. You build trust by choosing action over avoidance. Every time you act from self-trust, even if it's shaky, even if you've blown it, your brain logs a new prediction. That's what we're doing. We're not doing this so Bob in accounting is pleased with us. We're doing this to retrain our brain. So Bob in accounting can be mad all day long if we screwed something up. That's not the point. What he thinks doesn't matter anyway, because his thoughts aren't real either. Maybe it's safe to follow through. Maybe I can trust myself. Maybe I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be present. Let me just try and fail and build my tolerance of discomfort muscle by failing and saying, hey, there's one more opportunity to raise my tolerance of discomfort. And then identify the discomfort, see what you're thinking about it, and change that thought. This isn't motivation, okay? This isn't fluffy affirmations. This is actually rewiring your neural pathways through motion. Somatic theory, bottom-up processing, healing through action, not analysis. And here's another one from theology. You know, there's that quote, those of y'all that might know your scripture from James, faith without works is dead. It's not belief in theory, but belief in practice. Because self-trust isn't about knowing you'll always get it right. You're not going to get it right, but you still have to move. You have to try. It's about proving to yourself that you're going to show up. You're going to keep showing up. And who are you showing up for? Because self-trust isn't about knowing you'll always get it right. You're not going to. It's about proving to yourself that you're going to keep showing up, even when you don't. And that's how power gets rebuilt. So that's just a kind of quick action plan that combines thought work, behavioral neuroscience, social conditioning awareness, and practical action-based rewire strategies. So now let's wrap up with the thought model in action and walk through a model so that you really understand what you need to do in order to catch the thought and then apply these principles. You get asked to present at a meeting. That's the circumstance. Circumstances are neutral. They mean nothing. We interpret them. You get asked, it's just a calendar invite, but your brain goes, for example, they're going to figure out I'm not qualified. That's your thought. It triggers a feeling. Anxiety, dread, maybe even shame. You fill in the blank. So then what's your action? You shrink into that box that you will never fit into. You over apologize. You accommodate. You hedge your ideas. You make excuses before you've even messed something up. You second guess your outline. You soften your voice. And the result? You show up like someone who doubts herself, and your brain logs that moment as evidence that you were right to doubt yourself in the first place. That's not just a tape on replay. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy built by your own internalized training. It's happening and you don't even see it's happening. And if you don't see it's happening, you can't change that it's happening. This is what I like to refer to sort of as the rewired thought model. Now, let's run the same moment with a different input. Same circumstance. You're asked to present. Calendar invite, same room, same people. But the thought becomes, they chose me for a reason. Now your body responds differently. You feel grounded, confidence, even if there's still that flicker of nervousness. But think about what that does to your body. They chose me for a reason, not they're going to find out I'm not capable. Two totally different thoughts create two totally different feelings in your body when you think them, right? Even with a flicker of nervousness. So then what's your action? You prepare from a place of purpose, not panic. You feel a little seen. You feel a little, pat on the back. You speak with clarity. You take up space verbally, emotionally, cognitively. And then what's the result of that? You reinforce a brand new belief cognitively. I can trust myself here. See, that's not magic. It's mechanics. It's the literal rewiring of your brain's prediction system because your brain doesn't believe what you tell it. It believes what you show it over time, through action, through proof. This is how we build self-trust from the inside out. Not once, not perfectly, but on purpose. So if that example hit home, good. That's because your brain is ready to stop outsourcing your power, ready to stop performing for permission, ready to stop living in loops built by someone else's rules. See, you don't need more affirmations. You need a strategy. And that's exactly what I teach. So inside the full masterclass version of Trust Protocol, 3 modules, full rewiring tools, and the step-by-step framework for how to actually rebuild self-trust when it matters most. When the course drops, it will be available at charliehornisscoaching.com/store. And if you're not on the email list, you need to run over to /subscribe and jump on that. And that's where you're going to learn when these master classes become available. But I'll drop more details in the show notes. So check that out for all the links. Don't wait, because the person who goes first, they're not waiting for confidence. They're building it in real time. And just a quick reminder, this spring we are partnering with Betterhelp. That's Betterhelp, HELP.com, to get the word out on licensed, convenient, and affordable online therapy. If you've been nodding along today saying, dang, this is me, but you're still wrestling with emotional overload, indecision, or deep self-doubt, there is support for that. BetterHelp is online therapy made for high-functioning people like you and me who are done waiting for the breakdown to get help. You don't need to justify your stress. You just need someone trained to help you manage it. No waiting room, no commute, no therapy speak, just real conversations that help you stop abandoning yourself in hard moments. And right now you can get 10% off your first month just by being a listener and visiting my affiliate link at betterhelp.com/art of. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/art of, ARTOF, because your well-being isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. And here's what I want you to remember. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not indecisive. You're not behind. You're a person who has been trained to doubt themselves by a system that never planned on you leading anyway. But you're here now and you're rewiring in real time. Self-trust isn't about being sure. It's about being willing to go anyway. Stop defaulting to thoughts that were never yours. Interrupt the invisible patterns running your life. Start deciding who you want to be and thinking like her now. It's not about confidence. This is about self-command. And when women learn to manage their minds, they don't just get better. They become dangerous in the very best way. So Friend, if this episode was helpful, I would ask that you share it with the smartest woman that you know. Give us a rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And that helps us get these tools out to more women that need it. And subscribe for new episodes every week. And remember, lead like it's already done. I'll see you in the next episode, and I hope to see you in the masterclass. I'm Dr. Charlie Hornis, and this is The Art of Managing Your Brain.